Good morning. How is everybody doing? It's raining cats and dogs in New Jersey. The weather has been horrible since Friday. Ian is around the corner and it's been one of those sad, boring, should I say 3 days, where we are doing nothing. So even the makeup, we are not going to put makeup because it's going to drip away. Even the wigs, we can't put on the wigs because the wind is going to take the wigs away. So if you're finding me for the first time, my name is Penny. I come here once a day for just a few minutes to encourage one person, to inspire one person. If I can bring a family together by the teachings that I constantly share, it will be a blessing to me and other families. Evelyn, how are you doing? So this morning, today is Tuesday. I told you on Tuesdays we just keep it open, we just talk about general things. So, and I'm not going to put makeup because, you know, remember I said makeup is what we put to pretend that things are okay when things are not okay. So this morning we want to talk about caring for our parents. If you're an only child, maybe you will have to listen to me another time when I'm going to talk about when you're having conflicts with your parents. You're not having conflicts with your siblings. You're going to have conflicts with your mother. You're having conflicts with your father because you want to plan their care and they're not cooperating. But you're not the only child. Like, for instance, my mother has 8 children. My father had 21 children. I think before my father died, he buried probably, I think 3 of his children. My father buried 4. Out of the internet is so bad, so you guys have to bear with me. Out of my 21 siblings, my father buried 4 before he died. So you can imagine he had 17 children by the time he was dying, right? I have that math right? He had 17 children by the time he was dying at 89 years old. And when it was all said and done, by the time my father was dying, I can clearly tell you it was about 4 or 5 of us that were actively and financially, physically taking care of my dad. Everybody else was busy with their life, and even the ones who were living close by, some of us lived in America, they didn't have the time to go take care of dad. And I watched my father. My father was way older than me. I think my father must have had me in his 50s. So I was young. I was more of like a grandchild than a child. But I am noticing that a lot of family members are having huge conflicts in taking care of their parents now because we live so far away. And for those of you who've known me long enough, you know I've lived with my mom, or rather my mom has lived with me for the past 20 years. And I've learned a lot from her, and she has helped me, you know, raise my children because she was always in the house. And she ended up in my house because she wanted to, because I have 5 other siblings here. We are 6 of us. But my mother was in my house for the longest because she felt comfortable there. So my brother's kids, my sister's kids would come, my sister-in-law's kids. So my mother always had, you know, all these kids in my house, and she was comfortable there. And it was an agreement that we made as siblings. If she was comfortable in my house, she could stay. So my brothers would come and visit, my sisters would visit. And if you followed me long enough, you know my mother got sick in 2018, right before COVID hit. She had a brain tumor and she had to have surgery. She was in and out of the hospital. So I went through a lot trying to take care of my mother. It was not easy. And that is the time I started having major conflict with my siblings, because now I was like demanding help. But you know, I want to talk to people here this morning. I learned later that I was wrong, that I cannot demand from my siblings to take care of their parents. After I'd exploded and a few friends of mine came to my rescue. They're the ones who redirected me. A friend of mine, Edna is her name, she's in Kenya, spoke to me because I came and poured out my heart out here. I'm like, I need help. Not even just from siblings, even from friends. And Edna told me, Penny, you have to get to a zone where you are thinking your mother only had you. If you have a father, you're thinking your father only had you. Why are you looking and setting so many expectations to your siblings who you don't know what they are going through? In fact, that changed my whole outlook. My friend Becky came from Texas, Lorna came, Terry came, Mesha came, Officer came. I had friends that came because I had like a get-together just to be grateful that my mom was healing. And these friends of mine reminded me that, you know what, take care of your mom. Why are you worried about everybody else? And when I made that dinner for my mom, none of my siblings attended. You know, so friends came from whatever, everywhere, because I was doing like a celebration for, you know, healing. And you know, that's when I got a wake-up call that, you know what, why am I bothering my siblings? I don't know what they are going through. Why am I deciding for them? I came in, I woke up. It was a hard time for me, but I woke up and my friends told me that you're wrong. And I took responsibility for setting so many expectations on my siblings. And I learned something that I want to share this morning, because I was speaking to a lady this morning from Jamaica, and when she was talking to me, she was saying everything that I've been going through. She brought her parents from Jamaica. They live with her. Her father died not too long ago, because when my father came to America twice, he lived with me. And I mean, I've always had my parents, because I'm thinking like that's me. But then she told me that, oh, sometimes mom needs even $10, $15, but these kids don't see the need. And she has her siblings in other countries, and she's telling them, can you guys take mom for like 2 months? Can you guys, you know, spend time with your mom? But every sibling has a reason why they cannot take mom after, you know, her father had passed away. And I said to her, like, I feel like we can sit and write a book, which I really think I need to, about taking care of parents. But I can only tell you because I went through it. And I want to speak to some of you this morning who are where I was, who don't understand that you cannot make your siblings to take care of your parents. We are not going to force children. You cannot force children to spend quality time with their parents. And I want to tell you that I've lived long enough to see my siblings that older, not closer to me, that did not want anything to do with the parents, they are in their 60s now, and their children are doing the same thing. History kind of repeats itself. They didn't intend, but when I was like 18, 19, they started having their children. And they were not okay with the parents. They were more of resentful to the parents. And you know, most of us, some of us resent the parents. So after you come out of the parents' house, you're 18, you succeed. When we say success, financial success, not emotional, you have the baggage from your parents where you feel that they didn't do you right. But what you don't realize, you're carrying this to the next generation. So set low expectations. Don't set those expectations from your siblings thinking that they are going to give your parents the quality time. Set realistic expectations where if your sister says, let me come help with mom, be grateful, because you're not in your sister's situation. You do not know the relationship that your sister has with your mother and your father. Maybe they never forgive your parents for the things they did to them. When a sibling is in another country, when a sibling is in another time zone of their mind, they could be alcoholics, they could be depressed, they could be going through their own things. Stop forcing your siblings to take care of your parents, because you don't understand their journey. You need to know when to let it go. It took me, I believe it took me a year to know that I needed to let it go. But I just didn't do it myself. It was my friends that told me that leave your siblings alone. Stop pushing your siblings to do what they cannot do, because you don't understand their situations. Now, when your siblings are out of touch in life, who are you to even tell them to be in touch? I've learned that the way I have set my standards, the way I have set expectations for me, I can barely get my children to meet my own standards. That was a wake-up call for me. Even after I had adult children, I realized that my standards are not my children's standards. If my children cannot meet my standards, why am I going to make my siblings to meet my standards? My siblings cannot. But it took me a long time. My siblings cannot meet my standards. The quality of life I want to live, the quality of life I want to give my parents, I cannot set that on my siblings. Even my own children, now that I have 3 adult children, I quickly had to wake up from that zone and understand that if I had goals to live Nyandochevere, to do something for myself, I don't expect my children to do that. Now, some of the siblings could be good at cooking. Some of the siblings could be good at talking to mom. Some of the siblings could be good at giving walks. Wake up and start tapping into your siblings' strengths, not weaknesses. Because you know what? For a mother and for a father, your children are your children. Regardless of how or what care your children are going to give you, you love your children the same way. So don't think that because you're giving your parents more care, you're going to be loved more. No, because you know what? Which parent loves one child and ignores the other child? God loves us the same way. God loves all of us equally. You can't decide that, you know, my mom is going to love me more because now I'm giving her A, B, C, D, because I'm taking care of her. You should not expect that, because you're putting pressure on your mother. You're putting pressure on your father that you want to be recognized. Your mother and your father are supposed to love her children or his children equally. Ruth, thank you for the stars. Don't try to want more. Don't try to think that your mother needs to give you more. If your siblings are living in another part of the world, you could lose your siblings trying to put pressure on them. Respect that. They're in another zone, and you know what? You're not going to bring them from America to take care of your parents. You're not going to bring them from Kenya if you have your parents in America to take care of your parents. You're not a mind reader to go read your siblings' minds to know where they are. Some of your siblings are going through depression. Some of your siblings have their own personal issues with their children. Some of your siblings are like depressed deep. You are not going to take them out. But that is their mother. That is their father. Don't judge them because they are not caring for the parents the way you want. Always understand that, you know what, I can do A, B, C, D, but my sister is not going to do A, B, C, D. I listened to this lady talking to me. I was like, my goodness, her story is a cut and paste. I was too aggressive. I was asking for all these things for my mom. And when she was in rehab, I wanted people to go sit in the rehab with her. I wanted my nieces and nephews to take turns. I was forcing my family members to take care of my mom. Why was I doing that? Because I was not aware. I was not aware that I'm not supposed to do that. Let your siblings take care of the parents at their own pace, because you don't know what they are going through. You don't understand why they are out of touch. If you are self-aware, you know yourself, take care of your parents. And you know what? The more time you spend fighting your siblings, you're taking away from your parents. Because now what I learned from my mom, which now that's what I'm telling you, her children. And you know what? I'm a mother now. Regardless of the choices my children are making, I'm the only person who can love them unconditionally. Before God is your parents. So your parents are not supposed to love you more because you're giving them more because the other children are not able to give. And you know, when you have 4 or 5 children, they are not all the same. And there are children that have this sibling rivalry that never ends. It's not ending. We are going to bury some. Your sibling disliking you is not ending. You not liking your sibling is not ending. And now when you add alcoholism, when you add depression, when you add divorce, when you add brokenness, you're not going to change your siblings. I have never been at peace than I am now when it comes to caring for my parents, or rather for my mom. Because you know what? If a sister is willing to come help me with my mother, it's okay. If my brother is willing to come and bring 2 tomatoes for my mother, it's okay. If my brother calls or he doesn't call, it's okay. I cannot put pressure on my mother for her children to love her. It is totally unacceptable. It is wrong to set your expectations to you on your siblings because you don't know their journey. And you know what? Some siblings have grudges with the parents. If your siblings have never forgiven your parents, because you know what? We are not perfect people. I was not prepared for my children to have grudges with me. Now they have grudges of not allowing them to play outside by themselves. And you know what? They're upset. They have grudges because I've said they have to be in the house by 8 p.m. or 9 p.m. They have grudges because I've said I don't want to wake up to a dirty kitchen. I have set my Nyandochebere expectations on my children. And my children are born here. Their environment is different. They are saying in America, mom, this is normal. No, it's not normal. So all the expectations I have set on my children have created resentment. Because I'm telling them, this is not flying. So, you know what's going to happen? Probably when I get old, some of them, I have 4. Some of them might not care for me. Because they are still angry that I made them to do chores. That I washed them, I didn't let them play outside. That I gave them too many rules. That I made them cook. Like now I make them cook. I need fresh food. Because I used to cook fresh food for them. Those are Nyandochebero expectations. The same way our parents put expectations and did things to us that we thought were bad is the same way I'm doing to my children now. And they think that's abuse. I'm raising chicken. I'm telling them, let's go clean the chicken. And by the time my children find out that I was helping them, I'll be dead, long gone. And those used to be my father's words. My father used to say, by the time you realize what I'm telling you, I'll be long gone dead. I will not be here. So, if you have siblings, don't fight your siblings to take care of your parents. And I have news for you. Once your parents die, it will be it. You won't have anything in common. And another thing I learned, find a sibling that you get along and make a life together. Take vacations together, spend your Thanksgiving together, because some siblings, whether you try day and night, you will never, ever see eye to eye, no matter what you do, until your funeral, until you die. One of you will die without making peace, because there is no peace between you and those siblings. There's a book, I don't remember, that I have to find the book. I have it somewhere in the house that talks about birth order. Your oldest brother, your oldest sister always has issues. The youngest child always has issues. The middle children, they feel everybody has issues. Your birth order affects you. So now, I can never get along with my brother who's 18 years, age difference, 18 years older than me. What are we, like, we just cannot. Those are how many generations? Many generations. So we don't want to waste time trying to create relationships that are not even going to be created, because in the process, you're losing so much. May the Lord God bless you. Have a nice one. And if I talk to one person, I'm grateful. Thank you and be blessed. Please like my page and share this video.